Business 200, Principles of Marketing. We are still in Unit 3, and we will be going over Chapter 11, which is pricing. Here are your learning objectives. Your executive perspective I'd like you to cover on your own. All right, the importance of pricing. Pricing is one of the most important strategic decisions a firm faces. It reflects the value the product delivers to customers, as well as the value of the product captures, as well as the value the product captures for the firm. Sorry about that. Revenue is the result of the price charged to consumers multiplied by the number of units sold. Profits are the firm's bottom line, the revenue minus total costs. The objective of strategic pricing is profitability. High prices might lead to a loss of customers. Here is an example illustrating that. And here are the steps of the price setting process. We'll go over all of these steps. Step 1, define the pricing objectives. Profit maximization is designed to maximize profit on each unit sold. Profit maximization involves setting a relatively high price for a period of time after the product launches. Volume maximization is designed to maximize volume and revenue for a firm. Volume maximization is the process of setting prices low to encourage a greater volume of purchases. And then survival pricing involves lowering prices to the point at which revenue just covers costs, allowing the firm to endure or survive during a difficult time. Step 2, evaluate demand. The second step in setting a price is evaluating demand for the product at various price levels. The concept of supply and demand sits at the heart of setting prices. Marginal revenue is the change in total revenue that results from selling one additional unit of product. Marginal cost is the change in total cost that results from producing one additional unit of product. This requires an understanding of consumers' price sensitivity, which is the degree to which the price of a product affects customers' purchasing behavior. Price sensitivity varies from product to product and from consumer to consumer. Price elasticity of demand is a measure of price sensitivity that gives a percentage change in quantity demanded in response to a percentage change in price. It is one of the most important concepts in marketing and should be considered when pricing any product. Inelastic demand is demand for which a given percentage change in price results in a smaller percentage change in quantity demanded. Elastic demand is demand for which a given percentage change in price results in an even larger percentage change in quantity demanded. Here's a table illustrating the factors influencing price sensitivity. A consumer shopping for a new car who cannot afford to spend more than a certain amount on such a large purchase will be more price sensitive than a consumer with more money to spend on a car, or a consumer shopping for smaller purchases like a new piece of clothing. So the size of the expenditure affects price sensitivity. Consumers are also more price sensitive if the price they see for a new car at a dealership is outside the range of what the customer believes is fair. Regardless of the car's features, a consumer is less likely to pay if it's more than he or she considers is reasonable. And then consumers often become more price sensitive as they become aware of potential substitute products. If a consumer can review and compare the prices and performance of available cars throughout the region, the perceived risk for the buyer declines and the consumer becomes more price sensitive. Here are some more factors influencing price sensitivity. And here is an example of price inelasticity. So the price, or step 3, determining the cost. Setting a price begins by knowing the fixed and variable costs that go into producing a good or service. Costs that remain constant and do not vary based on the number of units produced or sold are called fixed costs. Costs that vary depending on the number of units produced or sold are called variable costs. Another way to determine the break-even point is using a graph, often called cost value profit graph. Once a company estimates fixed and variable costs, it can incorporate them into the break-even analysis. Break-even analysis is a process of calculating the break-even point, which equals the sales volume needed to achieve a profit of 0. Specifically, the break-even point is the point at which the cost of producing a product equals the revenue made from selling the product. And here is an example of the cost value graph I was just talking about for the break-even analysis. Setting prices to compete against other firms is challenging and complex. This is step 4, analyze the competitive price environment. This decision should be consistent with the overall marketing objectives of the firm and the other 3 marketing mix elements, which would be product, place, and promotion. Industry structure plays an important role in analyzing the competitive price environment. Marketers also should consider how competitors might respond to their pricing, and marketers must also take online competitors into account. Step 5, choose a price. Chances are you routinely compare the prices of almost everything you buy, from textbooks to coffee to gasoline. Marketers can capitalize on this tendency by identifying the reference prices of their targeted market or targeted consumers when setting their own prices. Reference prices are the prices that consumers consider reasonable and fair for a product. One of the most common mistakes in modern pricing is charging someone less than they are willing to pay, or underpricing. Airlines have for years considered the ramifications of underpricing in their pricing strategies. Step 6 of the price setting process is monitor and evaluate the effectiveness of the price. Choosing a price is not a one-time decision. Pricing strategy evolves throughout the product life cycle. It needs repeated monitoring and evaluation to determine how effectively the strategy meets the pricing objectives. One of the most challenging aspects of pricing is initiating price increases. Unbundling involves separating out the individual goods and services or ideas that make up a product and pricing each one individually. Such a strategy allows marketers to maintain a similar price on the core product, but recover costs in other ways on related goods and services. An escalator clause in an agreement provides for price increases if certain specified conditions occur. The escalator clause ensures that providers of goods and services do not encounter unreasonable financial hardship as a result of uncontrollable factors related to the product. And then shrinkflation is the process of items shrinking in size or quantity while their prices remain the same or increase. In recent years, numerous companies have shrunk the size of products to keep prices stable and to retain customers. For example, Nestle's Haagen-Dazs brand reduced the size of its pint containers from 16 ounces to 14, keeping prices stable. Markup pricing. In markup pricing, marketers add a certain amount, usually a percentage, to the cost of the product to set a final price. Profit margin is the amount a product sells for above the total cost of the product itself. The profit implications of using a markup pricing strategy are shown in this table. And then here's the profit implications of using research-based pricing strategy. Okay, pricing tactics. Odd-even pricing. Odd pricing is a tactic in which a firm prices products a few cents below the next dollar amount, like $19.95 or $19.99. Even pricing sets prices at even dollar amounts. Prestige pricing. Starbucks uses that strategy. Disney World pursues this strategy by offering its best rates its best rates when demand is at its lowest. So that is seasonal discounts. Price bundling has come up against increased customer resistance in some industries. Cable television providers have always relied on bundling strategy in which customers have to buy a package of channels rather than pay individually for channels. In recent years, as the price of those channel bundles kept rising, the practice has come under fire. Consumers now use wireless apps and search engines on their mobile devices and stores to compare prices. Dynamic pricing is a pricing tactic that involves constantly updating prices to reflect changes in supply and demand or market conditions. Dynamic pricing helps marketers emphasize yield management, which is a strategy for maximizing revenue even when a firm has a fixed amount of something, goods, services, or capacity. In a name your own price auction, the consumers submit a bid at the price they are willing to pay for a product or service, and the auction site conducts a search to find matches with prices set by participating suppliers. Price fluctuations. So name your price model is attractive to marketers for various reasons. It has a potential to help suppliers reduce inventory while generating additional revenue. It is also potentially provides savings to customers. Historically, companies have set prices for products sold internationally higher than the same products sold domestically. However, technological advancements in internet access throughout the world have made global pricing more transparent and in many cases more competitive. A lesser known relative of the black market is the gray market. The gray market involves the sale of branded products through legal but unauthorized distribution channels. Many nations place tariffs on a variety of products. Tariffs are taxes on imports and exports between countries. And then dumping occurs when a company sells its exports to another country at a lower price than it sells the same product in its domestic market. So here's how tariffs impact price. And here is a professional you can read about on your own. Okay, so legal and ethical issues in pricing. So we've got price discrimination, different prices for different customers. Price fixing, companies collude to set price. This is illegal. Predatory pricing, aggressive strategy where prices start low and then raise. And then deceptive pricing, intentionally misleading customers with price promotions, which is illegal. To combat price discrimination that injures competition, the U.S. government passed the Robinson-Patman Act as an amendment to the Clayton Antitrust Act of 1914. The Robinson-Patman Act requires sellers to charge everyone the same price. The Federal Trade Commission Act was passed in 1914. It established the FTC, which had the authority to enforce laws aimed at prohibiting unfair methods of competition. The Wheeler-Lee Act of 1938 is an amendment to the FTCA. Its passage removed the burden of proving that unfair and deceptive practices had to injure competition as well as customers. And then the Sherman Antitrust Act was passed in 1890 to eliminate monopolies and guarantee competition. Price matching. Here's an example of that. I think I lost the picture there. And then that is the end of this chapter 11. Thank you.